Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Cox, and I am the host of the New America Movement. We thank you for tuning in this evening. We've got a great show for you. And let me say, first of all, that it's good to have my son, Jordan Cox, as host. Say hello, Jordan.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
Got a good show. We're going to talk about something that you hear almost every day in the news, and that is gun control. Why are the left so obsessed about taking our guns? It seems like it's just inbred into their mind. If you are a Democrat, moderate, or liberal, your goal is to take away guns. And make no mistake about it, you'll hear the left say things like, well, we don't want to take away your guns. We just want to put limits on them. No, that's not true. They literally would love to take away every gun that you have and leave you nothing but a butter knife to defend yourself. Now, here's a very powerful argument that I always tell people. Anytime you call the police, they could be there in a couple minutes, but most of the time, an average call is about 10 to 15 minutes, which obviously gives you very little time to respond to someone if that person has a gun. Now, automatically, everybody says, well, if we didn't have any guns, you wouldn't have to worry about that. If they broke in your home, they'd have a butter knife too. It'd be a fight with two butter knives. Now, you got to ask yourself, and I want you to jump in on this, Jordan, do you think that if they passed a law in America where they said, we're going to take everybody's guns, come bring your guns to the local sheriff's department, and all us good obeying citizens say, well, we don't like it, but let's go load up all our guns and take them down to the sheriff's department. We go home and say, well, we don't have any guns. Well, when you get in line there, you're going to see your neighbor, your friends, the guy you go to church with. But who is not going to be in that line, Jordan? Who is not going to come to that show? Tell me.
Every criminal under the sun.
Well, why would they come? I mean, is it not logical to assume that they would be laughing? And would you not be giving them the silver bullet? Well, what do you think?
Well, here's the deal. When you talk about gun control, you have places like Chicago, you have places like California, San Francisco, LA. You got a lot.
Did you say
all
Seattle?
These cities that have strict gun laws, and is it helping them out any? Is it helping the citizens out any? Because I don't know if y'all know this, but this past weekend, Chicago, the gun violence there was ungodly.
But they don't have gun regulations in Chicago. That's what you got to realize, Jordan.
Oh, there
are no gun regulations. Huh?
Oh, anybody can go get a gun in Chicago.
Yeah,
huh?
everybody's got a gun. You don't have it. There's no gun laws. Oh, wait a minute. That's not Chicago. Chicago has the toughest gun laws in the country. Now, did I say that right? If you didn't get it, let me say it again. Chicago has some of the toughest gun laws in America.
They do.
But what else is unique about them? They have the highest crime rate. Interesting, because you go to a city like Chicago, you just about can't own a gun, but all the criminals have the guns, and all the criminals use the guns every weekend, and most of the victims are not criminals, but are just 17, 18-year-old minorities, boys and girls walking down the street, being shot by other gang members, being shot because there's a gun battle going on the streets, and the police can't stop it. And the police can't get the guns off the street.
Well, all they're focusing on is this mass shooting that this 22-year-old kid did. And no matter how tragic it is, and God Almighty, is it not tragic? It is absolutely horrific what he did. And he bought his rifle legally and everything. But he's a disturbed individual. He's a very, very disturbed individual.
Well, Jordan, I've said time and time ago on this show that gun violence in America is a mental health issue. It's people who have mental health.
I'm glad you brought that up.
So, it's not.
Well, I'm glad you brought that
up.
up.
It's not your average Joe.
Because this 22-year-old, he's a rapper, and he goes by the name Awake the Rapper, and so he has this song, and in the song he has a drawing of him holding a rifle, shooting it at someone. He has very disturbing images in this music video that he made. And he talks about how he can't control himself and his body, that he wants to do some stuff and he can't control himself. The neighbors of this said that his parents were not great people. The coach, his little league football coach, said his parents were not great people, particularly his mom. And that it started at the home. They were the last to come pick him up, him and his little brother. They were always late everywhere. They had to wait for them. Just seemed to be some severe dysfunction that went on in there. And so this kid grows up in this dysfunction and has this whole entire mentality of seeing violence over and over and over again, whether it's on TV, whether it's on a video game, whether it's on whatever. But I think you brought this statistic up, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. By the time you're 18, you've seen hundreds of thousands
actually, the statistics are, and I'm glad you brought this up, because the left are very big on calling out every social issue they see in this country. But if you go to Hollywood, which is 99% left thinkers, what is the one thing they never want to talk about, and that is gun control? Isn't that amazing? Because Hollywood, their bread and butter is violence. The average kid,
that's all they want to talk about.
By the time you're 18 years old, you have seen over 200,000 acts of violence. And if you look at like the John Wick movies, the Denzel Washington movies, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. What is it? It's gun violence. It is a guy or a girl with a gun, not shooting one person, but shooting 4, 5, 6 people with the 2 guns at one time. And the more violent, the more it seems to boost their ratings up, and the happier Hollywood is. So how do you say, as a left thinker, and you're calling out every little social issue in America and woking the death out of this country, and yet you're very, very silent on gun control? You make these movies, and they're full of violence. And sociologists and psychologists have already said that watching that kind of violence on TV does highly affect you. And let me say this too, because we're not going to go on forever here, but I remember when I was 12 or 13 years old, I went and saw the movie called Walking Tall, way, way before your time. But as a little, maybe 10, 12-year-old boy, when that came out, it was probably the most violent movie on TV, and it showed that guy on Walking Tall cutting people, lashing them out. And I remember I was warned about this, and I saw it in Memphis, Tennessee. And I remember going to the bathroom after the first scene of this guy getting cut, and the whole bathroom was full of people throwing up. And this is not an exaggeration. This is the actual facts. I'm in line to throw up. I'm a little boy, and I've got that vomit right at the top of my throat. I'd seen such a horrifying act of violence where this guy had cut this guy maybe 15, 20 times on the back. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, this is just beyond my thinking. And I go to the bathroom and I throw up. And there are other people in front of me throwing up, behind me throwing up. So the point I'm making is our culture, when we saw violence at my age, at the age of 12, it was a culture shock and a psychological shock to us. Now, Hollywood has already introduced today, in 2020, over 200,000 acts of violence by the time a child is of the age of 18. So every 18-year-old boy, if they saw what I saw when I was 12, it would be a giggle joke. It would be like, that made you sick? Man, I can show you some violence. What do you think, son? Well, you're 30. What do you think?
Well, it's conditioning.
It is conditioning. And Hollywood's good with that. And it's so hypocritical to say you don't like guns on the street, but yet everything you do in movies, half of your bread and butter is violence.
Right. So it's very hypocritical. But, it's one of these things where we have to say, look, gun control in cities, no matter how you can take every gun away from every American citizen. Good luck with that, but you can try. All that's going to do is leave guns in the hands of criminals. We see that in Chicago. We see that in California. We see that in Baltimore. We see that in New York. We see it everywhere. Even in the South, in the southern states that have strict gun laws, have a higher crime rate when it comes to guns being used in a crime. So you can't deny the facts that if once you disarm citizens of America, it's open season. It's just open season because criminals are going to know you have no weapon to defend yourself with. You know what protects me at night from a criminal? It ain't my locked door. Criminal can pick a lock. They can come through a window. They can kick your door down. They can, a million ways to do it. But you know what protects me at night? My 45, my 9mm, my AR-15, my AR-10. Those protect me at night. Because like you said, 10, 15 minutes before the cops get there, I'm already dead. Because this is one thing I've learned. No one's breaking into your home to give you a hug. No one's breaking into your home to tuck you in at night because you didn't get tucked in. They're coming to either do you harm or do something to your house, vandalize or whatever, steal something, whatever. It's against the law, cannot do that. That's what protects me. If you disarm me to the point where I can't protect myself and someone comes in and attacks me with a gun, who's held liable for that? Because I had the right to defend myself. That right was taken from me. What the government wants to do, I believe even in New York right now, it's even as, I believe as it stands, you can only have a pistol with 7 rounds in it. Now, I don't know if y'all know what the statistics are with a gun, when gunfire is exchanged, it's a lot more than 7 rounds. So the whole purpose of this, and the reason I bring this up is, do gun laws work? They do not work. And if you take guns out of American citizens' hands, then all it's going to do is open up the floodgates for criminal activity, for more breaking and enterings, for more murders, for more violent crimes, for more everything, because they know that you are not armed.
You're exactly right, Jordan. And here's the deal. Violence has always been a part of our culture ever since we've existed. In fact, violence has been a part of every culture that has ever existed. So it's utterly impossible to think that you're going to eliminate violence in the world. You take away all the guns, you know what? They're going to get baseballs, knives, whatever they can get to hurt you and cause harm to you. So, my thoughts on that is, leave it alone. I understand they're going to do some limitations on gun rights, especially with people that have some mental illness.
But just real fast. I just want to know, Lori Lightfoot wants to get up here and talk about how, she pretty much just cusses out Clarence Thomas over the Supreme Court ruling for Roe v. Wade, and talks about how we need to hit the streets and call to action and all this stuff. Then you want to talk about guns and taking and more gun control and all this stuff and everything that you got it under control. Well, I mean, last I checked, there was over 60 people shot and well over 20 dead or something like that. So I mean, I don't think you got it, Lori. I don't think it's working too well for you over there. I don't.
Well, it is kind of comical how the left thinks. So let's just continue to pray for this country and lead. Thank God for the rights that we have as citizens in this country. We're certainly not going to let the left take our guns away. It is sad to see them keep playing that song. It's always on our agenda in every election. Truth of the matter is, we have a right to defend ourselves, and we're going to continue to do that.
Absolutely.
Jordan, thank you. Great show. Appreciate it. Folks, tune in again. New America Movement. God bless you, and have a great day.